Hey, welcome back to our podcast, your go-to source for all things real estate and lifestyle in the heart of Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Jackson Christian Berry.
And I'm Jean Kristen Berry.
And together we're here to guide you through the vibrant world of Fort Worth and surrounding suburb living.
We believe in creating a community where everyone feels at home. And that's why we're committed to bringing you honest, expert advice in a fun and friendly way. From the bustling streets of downtown to the serene suburbs, we've got the scoop on what makes each area unique.
Each week we'll dive into the latest market trends, offer tips for both buyers and sellers, and share insider knowledge to help you make informed decisions. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or just curious about some of the Fort Worth charming neighborhoods, you're in the right place. Let's jump into today's episode. Howdy, folks, and welcome back to Welcome Home Fort Worth. We're so excited that you joined us for the podcast this week. We have an awesome guest today,
Woo-hoo!
Somebody that we like a whole lot. Our buddy Travis is in the studio today. He's going to talk to us about all things that he and Qualis do for our clients and our people. But before we even get into that, let's just go down to the basics. Who are you? What do you like doing in life? What things are fun for you to do?
Well, Jackson Kristen Berry. My name's Travis. I'm with Qualis Roofing and Construction. I've been in this industry for about 8 or 9 years now.
Cool.
Absolutely love it.
All in this area?
All in this area,
Nice.
all in DFW. It's a huge market. It's one of the biggest markets for roofing and
Really?
construction.
Wow.
And
I didn't know
so,
that.
yeah, we have, I think to date, like 127 hail events
You're
just
kidding.
this year.
What?
And so
Wow.
there's a huge market for people who need their homes restored after these big storms.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not including any of the cold snaps we get where there are busted pipes
Sure.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Your occasional fire. We
Yeah.
do it all. But yeah, we're
Wow.
based out of Arlington, Texas, and we do it all. So we love it. I'm actually from Arlington, born and raised. And
What high school?
Lamar High School.
Okay,
Go
cool.
Vikes.
Sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
What high school was that?
No. Yeah, my wife is a teacher in AISD, and we have 3
Very cool.
redheaded little boys that we
Cute,
love.
cute
and
guys.
they're not too bad. We like them. We like them.
That's good.
But yeah, I love what I do, and it provides a wonderful life for my family and I, and the freedom to do what I need to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
What brought you to this industry?
So I've been in sales. I worked at Starbucks for a majority of my teenage years,
No way.
and then got into sales after that. With my wife being a teacher,
Yeah.
I was a manager at Starbucks, and I was on, call every weekend,
Yeah.
and she was off every weekend. So we were like ships passing in the
Sure.
night, and that's no way to start off a marriage.
Totally.
So
Yep.
got into sales at Lifetime Fitness for
Oh,
a
wow.
couple of years. Kind of
Cool.
worked my way up the ranks there.
That's a sweet gig.
It was until the same thing happened. I was working every weekend, and I was like, "There's got to be more."
Yep.
So I actually had a regular member, come in one day, and it was at a different time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What's the change?" So one day I just happened to ask him, "Hey, what'd you do that's different?"
Yeah.
And he was in a different season of life than I was, but
Yeah.
he said, "I got into construction, man. I'm a general contractor. I
Whoa.
do roofing." And you've seen Wolf of Wall Street, where he's like, "You showed me a check for
Right.
$70,000 from last month, and I quit my job today." And
totally.
he showed me a couple of checks, and I was out in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't think I've worked more than a handful of weekends since then. Like I said, it's just offered me the
That's amazing.
the flexibility of the schedule to drop off kids,
Yep.
pick them up, and have those weekend trips and do whatever. So that's what got me into it.
That's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
and part of that is you're so great with people. I mean, you take care of our clients so well, and you provide such good service.
I enjoy helping people. It's kind of a weird thing, roofing and construction. It's, in the age of YouTube, you can YouTube a lot, but there's a certain skill set that comes with it.
Yes,
And,
and tools.
whereas,
And tools that you just need.
Yeah. And I'm handy to a
Yeah.
point. After putting in our own flooring, I'm not that handy, and it shows. But I'm not the one working on your roof.
Yeah.
I have guys for that, but I am the one to hold your hand throughout the entire
Yeah.
process and really kind of, make it easier for you.
Yeah.
You have a life, you have a career, you
Yeah.
have a family, you have all these things you
Yeah.
have to do. The last thing you need to worry about is scheduling crews, ordering materials, making sure
Totally.
everything's cleaned up after.
God, can you imagine? That would just
being
be horrible.
insured,
Being
making sure
insured,
that you don't run off. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we take care of all that for you, so you can just go about your daily life.
Cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Has being in this area influenced, or being like a homegrown kind of person from this area, influenced at all the way in
Yes.
which you go about it, or connections that you have, or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the biggest thing is in in roofing, there's a lot of door knocking, and I'm not here to knock it, you know.
Haha.
But that's bad. I'm so sorry.
What would you say earlier? Mingle,
shingle and ready to mingle. No, I'm not here.
Iconic.
I'm not here to downplay door knocking because that's the best form of marketing. You know, you're getting face to face with people.
Right.
But typically when people see me at the doors, they think I'm the repo man. I'm not your typical 18, 20-year-old with a clean cut face selling pest control or roofing or solar or something like that. And so being from Arlington, I have kind of just organically create a network. I said earlier, you know, before this started, I have a lot of friends, and as I got into roofing, their parents needed roofs and they knew me from high school. And so I was able to help them out. Now I have friends who are starting families of their own and buying homes of their own.
Awesome.
And now I'm able to help them out. And so I just use that and social media presence and just, you know, word of mouth is the best way to get business.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of our favorite parts of doing something like this, which is having, you know, somebody that we work with a lot on the podcast, is because it's so nice to just introduce people to who we trust,
right?
And who
takes good care of our people.
takes so good care of people, and just it's really enjoyable. So I'm glad we get to introduce you to the world.
Absolutely,
So,
I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Well, so you know, a lot of our interactions up to this point have been through more the roofing side, but Qualis does a ton of things, right? So at Qualis, let's just jump into more of the business side. What are you doing at Qualis? What's the role? What's that look like for you on day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So my role right now is I'm a senior project director at Qualis, which means I have a team of guys under me going out and doing the exact same thing I do. I just have more reporting and more coaching and training.
Great.
Whereas I absolutely love to go and help people on a daily basis, multiple times a day. If I could schedule 10 appointments a day and hop on 10 roofs, I would be the happiest guy in the world. But I've realized that I get more joy in helping other people grow their book of business and their income and building their, just their natural growth network in this industry. And so
having such a big background in sales like you do, I mean, there's so many things I'm sure you can teach them and just get them there so much faster, which has to be so nice for them.
Yeah, and so some of our guys, you know, they're seasoned veterans in roofing. Some of them are twice my age, some of them are 10 years younger than I am.
Wow.
And getting the new guys in who don't know anything, I'm like, listen, your biggest strength in getting business is going to be networking. You know, going out to networking events, reaching out to realtors, insurance agents, and whatnot. And then even some of our seasoned guys, I always tell them the one thing I love about this business above anything else is you learn something new every day.
Yeah, well, sure. See something new every day, I'm sure.
Yeah, you definitely see your fair share of new things every day, but just, you know, taking a snippet of any sort of interaction you have with someone and then finding a way that fits you or that you can use it in the future is huge.
It's awesome.
Cool. Very cool. Well, we always like what you do with our
big
people. And I think it's really important that you have somebody you can trust. And you're so personable and you know the roofing business so well that it's real quick and easy for people to trust you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of issues in the construction world.
I've got a question about that later.
Okay. So, like I said, networking is wonderful, especially when you work with wonderful people like you two that trust us. But there's a whole lot of ups and downs in that trusting process because you can't trust anyone too quickly, and you got to vet them and go about that way. So.
And there are some things you can do to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Some ways to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so so Qualis is this whole new world. We'll get into more details of what Qualis can do, but let's just stick with roofing for right now.
Okay.
When it comes to roofing, let's talk specifically about Fort Worth and in this area, right? What are you seeing in this area that homeowners? What do you most frequently see in a Fort Worth home regarding roofs, and that maybe something that Fort Worth homeowners could go find themselves, right, or go see themselves, or if they can't do that, then when would you recommend to bring in somebody like you to that?
I mean, most people, I always tell people, get your roof checked out every 6 or 12 months. There are storms that happen. It doesn't matter what time of day. I've had people at work, storms have hit their home, middle of the night. I'm a very hard sleeper. If we had a big hailstorm and I wasn't in roofing, you know, on my weather app or sitting out in the garage watching it all just pound my truck, you know, I may not even hear the storm roll through. And so getting those frequent inspections is huge. I've gone to several people's homes where if they had gotten a yearly inspection, it would have saved them thousands of dollars in damages, you know,
And most people don't think that. Most people think that if you do the inspection, that it's going to do something weird to their insurance.
Right.
They're always scared about that, is what I've come across.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, any sort of hail event is considered an act of God. It should not raise your insurance premiums or anything like that. But I mean, there are some times where you could have squirrel damage. You could have
yes.
Could have tree limbs fall on your roof, and there are some roofs that are too tall for you to see a tree limb on the roof until you start to get a leak, and then it's too late.
That's what I was gonna say. Like a roof can really lead to a lot of bigger problems down the road with leaks, with anything like that. So or rodents for sure.
No, you're absolutely right.
Wow,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and sheetrock and flooring and just
all of it.
all
electronics,
all
you
of
name it.
Yeah.
I've seen. I can't say I've seen it all, but I've seen a whole lot. And like I said, there was a guy who had a exposed nail head on a pipe jack one time.
Oh my god!
Where there just wasn't. It's not that dramatic, but there just wasn't. I
was thinking you were gonna step on that. Sorry,
no.
I was imagining where the story was headed.
No. So there was no caulk on his nail head. Right? There's no sealant.
Yeah.
And he called us up there, and there is a huge dip in the roof.
Yeah.
Well, once you go inside and you're looking at the sheetrock and then the flooring damage and the baseboard damage and the roof damage, you're looking at a few $1,000s worth of repairs here.
Yeah.
That's not going to be insurance related because it's not sudden and accidental. That's been happening for a while. Where if he had gotten his roof checked out the year before, we could have taken 10 seconds to seal those up, and he would not be out. That money.
Is some of that like code updates? Because I know that some older homes just don't even have the sealant in. Like that gets flagged on inspections a lot when we do it.
Yeah, so that's not necessarily any sort of code coverage right there. That should just be commonplace.
It's just how it should have been.
That's how it should have been roofed. And now, granted, there are some roofs that are older. You know, there's certain part of North Arlington over off of like Lincoln and Green Oaks. Where some of the roofs haven't been changed in 30 years because there hadn't been a really big hailstorm in that area. So there's no reason for insurance to buy the roof, you know? And but even so, if you were to get that yearly inspection, a lot of the times we'll go up there and we'll just seal stuff up for free. I mean, it takes us 10 minutes. We're already there. And if we do something, it's kind of like karma, you know, you do something nice. They're probably going to call you back. It goes the opposite way, even these storm-related events. Hail could hit one house and miss 5 and hit another. But if you start to see a lot of roofs going up in your area, if you have a roofer just come by and say, "Oh yeah, you need a new roof," you might not have any damage whatsoever. I always joke around and tell people I get more business by telling people they don't need a roof.
Yeah, totally. There's so much trust that comes from somebody who would earn money doing that, telling you, "Hey, don't worry about it." Like there's so much trust that's
exactly. And it's just being honest. And I think that might be one of the bigger issues in any industry. Is just honesty and transparency with your homeowners.
Absolutely. Yeah, you need to do that. And I think what's cool too, I didn't know this until like the last year, that y'all have access to all of the weather events and the areas, the zip codes, the neighborhoods.
Yeah, well, he posts about it a lot.
So I mean, you can tell. You can tell when it might actually need to have a new roof or not.
Yeah, there's an app called Hail Trace, which will tell you. It'll tell you any weather event in that area. I just got off of a roof in South Grand Prairie today. And they actually had 4 hail events. The largest was a 4-inch hail event. And then the smaller ones were 1.25 inches, which are still big enough to damage your roof. But the cool thing is the algorithm isn't just meteorological events. It also goes based off of like social media and what people are posting and pictures and where they are at. And it kind of intertwines all of that, which is kind of neat because I mean, it's just a really good tool, but you never really know if there's going to be any sort of damage to your roof until you actually look on the roof. So
Well, so great segue, because my next question is, walk us through a roof inspection. Like when you're up there, what are you looking for? What are you seeing? Like what's your process for doing something like that?
So whenever I look at a roof, if a homeowner says, "Hey, I've got a leak," I always want to be inside the house looking at where the leak is, find a window and kind of spot something outside that I'm like, okay, the leak is right here about 10 feet from the window. It's about 5 feet from that tree. And then I go on the roof and look. And 9 out of 10 times, roof leaks are the easiest to spot once you're on top of the roof because it's usually a nail pop where the nail has wiggled up through the shingle over time. It could be some bad flashing. It could be something wasn't flashed correctly. It could be a missing shingle. Those are easy ones. There have only been a handful of times where I've gone onto a roof and I've had no idea where the leak is coming from. And at that point, you kind of have to do exploratory surgery because water finds the easiest way in. and those are just kind of freak accidents. They don't happen very often. But whenever I get to a home and I'm looking or I'm inspecting a roof, I always kind of take pictures from the ground level on all sides of the roof. I find the easiest access point up. If it's too steep or it's too old and all the granules are falling off, that's like walking on rollerblades on a roof.
Sure.
Oh, really?
And so I might break out the drone at that point in time.
Because the chance of you falling might be really big.
Yeah, I'm batting 1,000 on not falling off a roof. So we're gonna
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. But no, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the how old the shingle is. Is it a fresh looking shingle? Is it an older looking shingle? Is there algae on a roof? Typically shingles have a 10-year algae warranty. There's like copper and zinc on that's fabricated in the shingle to stop the algae from growing. And so if it's a ton of algae on the roof, I know it's probably 10 years old. Average roof life in Texas for your shingles are probably anywhere between 15 to 18 years old. They boast a 30-year or old school 40-year terms. That's in perfect weather. And Texas does not abide by those rules.
For sure.
And so usually it's because of weather events, just in the extreme heat and extreme cold, it just deteriorates your roofing product.
Wow.
You can get into the slates and the tiles and the stone-coated steels and all of that. Yeah. Those will last for a very long time. I mean, there's still roofs up there tile that have been on for 100 years and they're fine,
Wow.
But as far as a regular shingle goes, I'm looking for the shape that the shingle is in. I'm looking for any red flags, so those nail pops we mentioned earlier, the flashings. I'm looking to see if the vents and soft metals on the roof are completely battered or if those look pretty fresh. If the vents are painted, because that kind of protects it from rust for a while. Anything like that. And then, of course, we're looking for hail damage. Wind damage is pretty easy. You go through a neighborhood, see some shingles missing. It's very seldom you spot hail damage from the ground level unless it's just a massive hail event that lasted a while. Your typical hailstorms only last, 5 minutes or so, but it's enough to do damage. You get out into Frisco and Wiley and Lantana where they last 30 minutes and it looks like this roof was built by Dalmatians. Just spots everywhere. Exactly.
Well, we had a car totaled because of hail. One year, remember that?
It's ridiculous the damage it causes. But I'm looking for all of those things. And if I get on a roof and there's no hail damage and nothing's wrong, I usually tell the homeowner, hey, nothing's wrong. Typically, there's one or two things that could be better. Like, hey, your last roof forgot to seal up these fasteners, or hey, your pipe jack, a lot of people don't know lead pipe jacks are like squirrel magnets. They sharpen their teeth on the pipe jacks.
Is that why they're around those all the time? Because they're on our roof
and then the squirrels get lead poisoning and die, and then but it causes holes in your pipe jack, and those are always in between the walls, and so you're not going to see those leaks on your ceiling. That could be all sort of organic growth in the house that you don't want. So once again, those inspections are key for a lot of things. It's not just every roofer trying to sell you a new roof when you don't need one. It's like, hey, I'd rather watch out for you because as a homeowner myself, I would want to know if there are red flags that I could fix for a couple $100 now or something, as opposed to a year down the road having a mold remediation team come in.
My gosh! Right. What a huge ordeal that is.
That'd be outrageous.
It's expensive.
You have to move out for a while.
It's not fun.
So you're really advocating maintenance.
Yes.
Like
that's what's been asked.
The inspection is like maintenance program.
And is there any maintenance in between? There would be my question for a homeowner to do. I had this inspection the other day where the general inspector said, if the attic gets too hot, it can reduce the age of the roof.
Yes.
And so, obviously things like that, like making sure your attic's insulated well and that kind of stuff. Anything else that, along those lines?
Yeah, proper ventilation is huge because a lot of people, when we look at hail damage, especially if you're new, you're like, hey, this is hail damage. Well, no, that's actually a blister. It's that attic getting so hot, it's cooking the shingle from the inside out, and you can Google roof hail damage and roof blisters. And there's a pretty notable difference in there. And so that's a big one, proper ventilation, making sure everything is sealed up properly, and making sure you have a good quality material up there. I won't speak ill of any manufacturer out there because everyone has their good and their bad, just like your cars, right? People who love Fords, people who hate Fords,
Right.
But it's just, I think it comes back to trusting who you're working with, making sure the materials are the right materials for your home, and then just getting that regular maintenance. Because here's the thing, no matter what roofer you call out, we're probably not going to charge you to inspect your roof in the hopes that if there is some damage, you use us for that business. That's just the name of the game. I don't know many other trades that do that. Every time I get a plumber to my house, it's a couple $100. Electricians, a couple $100. But when it comes to roofing, a lot of the people I work with are just happy to help and happy to get to know people. And, it's cool to talk to different people and see different situations. And you can see something on a roof today that you may not see again for 5 years, but you'll remember the one time you saw it and you'll know how to fix it. Just from that one experience.
And y'all provide some kind of a report or something to the homeowner?
So for our realtors, we provide a know before you list report where we can, every time y'all have a home inspector out, it always says, contact a qualified roofing contractor to take a look at it. And so as soon as a house goes on the market or someone...
And then he's usually out the next day. It's that fast. If not that afternoon, the next day.
That flexible schedule just for you two.
We appreciate that.
It's amazing.
Hey everyone, real quick before we get back to the show, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, we'd love to connect with you. We post a lot of content like this in case you miss an episode, along with more Fort Worth and surrounding suburb local insights and finds. You can find our team at the Christenberry Group on all social platforms, or you can connect with Jackson and I personally on our Facebook and our Instagram accounts. Just be prepared for lots of pictures of my grandson on either account. Now back to the show.
Yeah, but getting those reports out, our insurance agents, insurance agents need to know if the roof is at least 10 years old because they could do, especially insurance is so expensive right now. If your roof is newer than 10 years old, you might qualify for discounts. Or if it's a class 4 impact resistant roof, you could get discounts that way as well. Cool. There are just a lot of things, and obviously just your general homeowner report. Throw some pictures in there, say, these are some red flags I saw. This is what it would take to fix it. Honestly, if your roof is low enough slope, just, it's not dangerous to get on. Most homeowners can probably get on their roof if they had the right knowledge and right tools to seal something up or replace something. But we're the professionals, and we have no problem getting on your roof. So,
and you're insured.
Yeah, we're insured, licensed, all that good stuff.
You're licensed, and the thing that I like is that you guys have such a stable business, and you've been in business long enough that you're not one of those guys that comes knocking at the door when there's a hailstorm, and then a year later when you need the warranty work done or something like that done.
So we're
disappear.
We're not your typical stereotypical storm chasers. We still have our guys who go out and knock neighborhoods because that, like I said,
it's a great source of business.
That's marketing at its finest. But yeah, we've been in business long enough. We don't storm chase. We have our branch here. We have one or two of our people who go out to Kansas because we kind of have a sister construction company up there, the cousin of one of the partners, the managing partners. But we stay local. And so if you have an issue, and that's another thing that I see a lot of people not take advantage of when they have an issue, they don't necessarily call their roofer back. They call someone else, or I'm like, if there's an issue and I put on your roof, I need to be the first call because granted, it's construction. Not everything goes 100% perfectly every time. There's always a room for error. And so, if you have an issue or something doesn't look right to you, call me back and give me the opportunity to fix it. It's not going to cost you anything because we just did your roof. We need to do it right. It doesn't happen very often. I'll tell you that now. But at the same time, if or when it does happen, we're back the next day to take care of it.
That's it. And that's what we encourage our clients because we have had clients that used somebody that just kind of blew in to sell a roof, and then they blew back out of town, and they had no recourse when they had trouble with their roof.
And that's, there are some very, very, very good roofing companies who do chase storms. They have people scattered throughout the nation, and sometimes they deal with just specialty roofs. Sometimes they deal with all sorts of roofs. And they're able to do that really well. But there are still, you don't need a license in Texas to roof. You need a license to give people massages or to cut hair.
How crazy.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's like the Wild West out here, But we have all the voluntary licenses you can get through RCAT and RTCA and TRC, I forget. But we have all those licenses that we're able to, because even though they are not required, it gives people a sense of peace. And it also shows that we are not that, chuck in a truck.
You're not average Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what we really like.
We just want to be above board in every way possible.
That's great, man. It's great. All right, so that's roofing. So let's move on from roofing. So talk to me about Qualis, everything that's not roofing that Qualis can do for a home.
So we are general contractors. So I actually put in blown-in insulation the other day for a gentleman in Pantego when we just did his roof.
Yeah.
We do whole home remodels. Outdoor living spaces are
do you really?
huge.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and laying the concrete and everything.
Oh, no. For outdoor living spaces, yes.
Yeah.
You don't call us for your foundation.
Okay. All right.
That's a huge liability.
Yeah.
We're like, you'll save money, go with a foundation expert with that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to outdoor living spaces, windows, doors, painting, anything like that, we are
Outdoor
happy to
kitchens,
do it. Outdoor
fireplaces,
kitchens,
all
yeah.
that,
We
pergolas.
specialize in outdoor living
Sweet.
and entertainment spaces.
That's great.
And then we recently jumped into generators. About a year ago,
That's
and that
great.
has skyrocketed. We have a great team that are
awesome.
dedicated specifically to generators and installing them and getting your home up.
Yeah,
and running.
man.
Oh, wow.
So that's really
real
cool.
popular now.
Well, yeah,
After
there's
the
a
polar vortex.
yes.
Well, exactly. When people
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, I really wish I had that."
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people either went solar or generator
Yes.
after
Yeah.
that. And I think the thing with solar is you have to have backup batteries that can
Right.
power your house for 24 to 72 hours.
Yep.
With generators, you need a gas line.
Yep.
And you're good to go. And they're
awesome.
a lot less expensive than solar.
Yep.
But we actually had a client a year ago, I think, who if she had the generator, it was $14,000 or $15,000. She wouldn't have had that water line freeze over and
my
cause
gosh.
$90,000 worth of
Yes,
damage.
sure.
She was out of her
Sure.
house for 8 months.
Yep.
I mean, taking $15,000 or financing it for $170 a month or whatever it may be.
Well, that's
I don't know
nothing
the
compared to what a
numbers.
solar panel would be, too. Like
Yeah,
15.
like
That's
solar-
nothing.
solar-
Solar's so expensive.
Oh, solar's
Yeah.
very expensive,
Yeah.
and luckily, I've partnered with a couple of solar experts
Yeah.
who make it very easy to understand because it is a pretty complex industry.
Yes. And
and
it changes all the time.
It does, and they do a really good job of showing you, hey, you're dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars in electricity over, these 25 years or so. You go solar for this much.
Yeah.
You actually can sell power back to the grid. You can do all sorts of really cool stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but our generator sales have taken off immensely. So
Yeah.
we pretty much do everything from the roof below, and we do it really well.
Great.
We have a dedicated team just for construction.
Yep.
One of the companies I was with several years ago, I was in charge of estimating for kitchens and baths and roofs and outdoor stuff. And now I just have to worry about roofs.
Yeah.
And that has
That's sweet gig.
given me such a peace of mind
Sure.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
estimating for all the other stuff is
Yeah.
very time consuming, and
Yeah.
then the person might not even go with you.
Right.
You're
Yep.
diving into 5-6 hours of estimating, and
Yeah.
now we have a construction team, and they do a phenomenal job.
Cool.
Great.
They do.
From design on, like, can they also help design?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. They can help design it,
Okay.
build it, bring your dreams to life.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
From the ground up, too, kind of stuff? Like
Yeah.
you're talking like build on a vacant property kind of stuff?
We have the ability to,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't necessarily know if we have done that yet.
But you have all the ways to do
But
it. so.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. That's really good
Yeah.
to know. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Our
Yeah.
company was started in 2019. I think one of the big things I love about our company is that most roofing companies are born from an ex-roofer who either got stiffed on a paycheck or had a bad experience with the company, and they're like, I can do this better myself. Our company is managed by partners who came from tech, real estate, and
Great.
HVAC, commercial HVAC
Yeah.
work. And they're just very good businessmen in general, and saw a
Good.
huge opportunity and built the company up the right way.
Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Sounds very stable, very business oriented, very
Yes.
very business.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we
that's
have a
good.
lot of fun,
That's
but it's a
good.
lot of fun when you're working with the right people.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
it so much better.
Yes,
it
it does.
absolutely does.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk, give me horror stories. Give me, what is one of the worst or craziest, most challenging experiences you've had in this line of work?
Here we go.
Something interesting.
So one interesting thing, a roof is, the slope of a roof is done in pitches.
Okay.
Yep. 212, 1612, whatever. The
Yep.
lower the number, the lower the slope is, more walkable.
Yep.
I was on a roof that was a 1012 roof, so it's not walkable at all,
Okay.
realistically,
Okay.
but you can scurry up a valley of a roof and get 4 touch points and be fine.
Jeez.
Well, I
Wow.
rolled up to this house and I thought, man, this is a designer shingle. This isn't a standard shingle. This is high dollar shingle.
Yeah.
And then I got closer and I realized it wasn't. But the
Uh-oh.
roof had actually been painted.
Painted the roof?
Painted with
Almost spit my
Rust-Oleum
water
paint.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Rust-Oleum.
Rust-Oleum, black
What?
Rust-Oleum paint. This lady was
Rust-Oleum?
Yeah. She was convinced that critters were getting into her house.
Okay.
And so she spent an entire summer, a summer in Texas, mind you.
Oh, gosh.
Caulking and sealing every crevice and crack of the shingle wherever the joints
She did it
were.
herself?
And she was probably 65.
Oh, my
In a
goodness.
Texas summer,
In Texas
65-year-old
summer,
on the roof.
Yeah.
That's this steep that you're talking about.
Yes.
What?
And she painted the roof. And then when she asked me to go and inspect the roof, I watched her put on her gardening Crocs and she got up the roof with me.
My goodness.
Yes, it was one of the scariest moments. I
I
thought,
bet.
this is the day I witnessed somebody's death.
Yep.
This is not okay.
Yep.
I don't feel comfortable with
Have
her
that,
being up here.
have that Simba moment where you're holding them over the
Yeah, no,
like
I'm
saving.
That'd be so bad.
Roof on that lady. Oh, my goodness.
That's one horror story.
Wow, man.
I don't know what kind of horror story you're looking for.
Just any, I mean, that's pretty great.
Pretty bad.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good
yeah.
one. That's
Yeah.
unusual.
Yeah.
That's very unusual.
Man.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
batting 1,000 on not falling off any
Let's keep it that
roofs. But aside from that, it's typically, I would say most horror stories from roofers and homeowners usually comes from miscommunication.
Yeah.
They aren't setting the correct expectations because
Yes.
you want to promise someone the world,
Yeah.
but you're typically going to fall short. So if you under promise and over deliver,
Yeah.
everyone is happy in the end. And then, like I said, just making sure that if something does go wrong, you be the first to mention it
Yes.
and say, hey, listen,
Yes.
we screwed this part up.
Yep.
We're going to be back immediately
Yep.
to fix it.
Yep.
Whereas I think a lot of people would just be like, maybe they won't see that.
Yeah.
And they go about their day. And then a month later, you're getting a call from someone
From a
who's
lawyer.
really angry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But outside of that, I could name off a dozen horror stories, but I don't want to on a public forum like this.
We appreciate you sharing the one.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Rust-Oleum
That was
roof.
awesome. All right, so we've already talked about this a lot so far. So in the situation of a roofer knocking on a door, this is a random roofer, new to town, storm chasing kind of thing. What? That's a really common experience for I've had that happen a ton of times in my house. That's a very common experience for most people, right?
Yep.
What advice would you give to the homeowner opening that door to this roofer that they don't know?
Vet them.
Well, to vet them, or just what do they need to know? How do they make sure that they stay covered and prepared and they don't get in bed with somebody who's really going to screw them?
I mean, the big thing is I would find a way to vet them.
Yeah.
I am terrible when people knock on my door.
Yeah.
I've switched pest control companies 3 times this year because I am the easiest person to get sold to, sadly, and my wife will watch this and verify. Yeah. But I think the big thing is make sure they have general liability insurance because you don't want them to fall off your roof and then that's on your home insurance or however that all works,
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen. Facebook them, Google them. I have no problem Facebooking people at all. I want to see what kind of person they are, maybe see if most people don't go knocking by themselves. They usually have a team. Yeah. Go talk to their team lead, just get a good vibe of the person. Yeah. If you don't get a good vibe at the door, and you're one of the few to actually open the door and say hello as opposed to looking through the window and shaking your head, if you get a good vibe from that person, just question them, say, hey, what are you doing here? Yeah. They'll probably say, hey, we've had storms throughout this area. We're actually doing a roof down the street with Miss Johnson. A big thing is if they name drop a neighbor, holler at that neighbor. Yeah. Because Mrs. Johnson can be used in pretty much every neighborhood. Yeah. Because there are a lot of them.
That's a great point.
And so luckily, we're doing a ton of roofs in my neighborhood right now. Yep. And I was training the guys and we knocked on one of our neighbors' doors like, hey, you don't know me, but you see my 3 redheaded kids running throughout the street, throwing the football and hitting each other with things. Yep. They're like, oh, yeah, how are you doing? Or I could say, hey, we just did Jeff's roof next door. Did you heard us yesterday? Yeah. Like the song of my people at 7 a.m. And so I would say if you get a good vibe from them, if you're a big stickler about it, ask for the general liability insurance. All of our team that goes out and knocks, they have these green folders. It has everything about deductible policies, has everything about any sort of voluntary licenses we have, or general liability insurance, insurance numbers in case you need to make a claim and you aren't sure who to call. Yeah. A lot of people will not know to call their agent, or they may just call insurance out of the blue.
Yeah.
Thing is, you need to verify if you actually have damage or not, so that you don't fall under an unpaid claim category with your insurance agent, because that's kind of a black mark against you.
Yeah.
And that is something that is pretty common for them to actually be carrying around their general liability insurance, and we can actually confirm
If
it.
they're legit,
and all
it sounds
that.
like.
Yeah.
If they're legit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we had a tree trimmer walk through our neighborhood a few months ago, and he's like, he looked at my house, and I've gotten quotes trimming trees. We got 19 trees
Ooh.
on
Nice.
our lot.
Nice.
And I've gotten
Expensive.
quotes.
Yeah.
I've gotten large quotes to trim these trees and canopy them, and this guy's like, "I'll trim all these trees for $250," and I'm like, "That's about a tenth of what we've been quoted, so it sounds great." And he gave me his card, and I looked him up, and I found that there were 14 businesses under his name, and all of them had F ratings.
Yikes.
And then I actually threw it out on our neighborhood Facebook page that all the moms and dads and whatnot, and it's like 50 or 60 of us. And I'm like, hey, just so y'all know, be careful. This guy's going out and doing this. And then 5 people popped up like, yeah, this guy was around here 3 years ago. And he said he would do this, never did it, and then demanded money from us. And so it was the same deal.
Yeah. Do your research.
Do your research on people,
Yeah.
you know? And I would think that the best way, if you don't want someone knocking on your door, holler at someone and say, hey, does anyone have a roofer they recommend? Do you have someone you've had good experiences with? And then that roofer will be more than happy to put a sign in your window or a sign in your yard. Another thing is no soliciting signs.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I know people who knock no soliciting homes. Being a homeowner who has had 3 babies in my home, when we've had a baby sleeping, do not knock sign.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And then we hear the doorbell and we hear a knock.
You hear the crying.
And then you're just messing with a really furious homeowner.
Absolutely.
But you're not allowed to knock. No soliciting doors, and a lot of places when you solicit, you have to have an orange vest and a license from the city or a permit. And so there are a lot of things that you could do to vet people out.
Cool.
A lot.
That's good advice.
That's great. Well, and so that y'all know, I mean, they're one of the main reasons we have Travis on today is because we want to do that work for you. Like, we really do a lot of business with Travis and his team, and we really want you to know that we trust him a whole bunch, and it's tried and true. It's not just like one-off, right? It's tried and true. And so we really,
for years.
This is a great option for you if you're in need. That's half the reason he's here today. It's because we really trust him.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course. Of course, man.
We have vetted him.
Yeah, big time.
Yes.
And he is well vetted.
Well, talk to me about, so let's say I've hired Qualis, roof or construction or whatever, right? I've hired them to come out. What is that, as the homeowner who's hired y'all, what's my experience going to be like? Like, how are you making sure you keep my trust throughout this whole process? What does that experience look like?
Communication is key, right? So I actually have a gentleman who we did a porch extension for on the front of his house, because it was kind of a flat front of the house. And he's like, man, it'd be really great if we could sit out here. So we actually built, in addition to the foundation, poured the concrete slab, built up columns, built a roof coming out of his sidewall. Like, really cool deal. And that was 2 or 3 years ago. And he called me up about a month ago and said, hey, I have a leak. So went, checked it out, said, hey, you do have a leak. It's going to be this much to fix, or it's time for a new roof. This roof's about 15 years old. It's a 3-tab roof, which is a lower quality roof. I said, call out your insurance. Let's get this roof bought. All you have to pay out of pocket is your deductible.
Great.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's like, let's give it a shot. You know, met the insurance out there. As soon as the scope of work from insurance, the carrier estimate came in, we reviewed it. We were able to actually upgrade him to a higher quality shingle. He had a
For the same deductible.
Yeah, for the same deductible, you know, there is enough money in there to work with that. And he got his check from insurance, sent it off to mortgage company. He signed the contract, spoke to he and his wife. We picked out colors. We picked out gutter colors, strip edge color. He went from a weathered wood roof, which is like the blue jeans of roofing. It goes with whatever color you have on the home in stone. It's just very brown gray, and he's going with a jet black roof, which is going to look really nice on this corner lot in Kennedale. And so we got the contract signed. He texted me a few days ago, hey, the check is back from mortgage. We're doing his roof tomorrow. We'll have his roof wrapped up in one day. As soon as his roof is done, we'll have we have interns that work with us, and we'll have them go out and magnet the yard. I'll go out and magnet the yard. We'll have project managers on site all day,
Would never
making
thought of that,
sure
that
everything
detail.
goes well.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, landscape protection around the house. He has a little girl, and we don't want her stepping on nails,
Right.
so we're gonna be meticulous with the magnet sweeps. And once it's all said and done, we'll get with insurance and the completion letter. He'll get his final check, pay us the rest of the money, and we'll be good. He has that standard 5-year labor warranty, like a 30-year manufacturer warranty. And we just try and make it as seamless as possible, especially this close to Christmas.
Yes.
You know, you'd think it'd slow down, but it's actually picked up quite a bit. I think we did 5 roofs last week, 6 this week. We've already got 2 or 3 scheduled for next week after Christmas.
Wow. Surprising, yeah.
And so big thing is communication, you know, just, hey, we're going to need your driveway for the day. Make sure you park out in the street. Materials will be delivered. Roof's going on tomorrow. Materials were delivered today around lunchtime. He was like, can you make sure they're on the right side of the driveway so I can get my truck out tonight and then I'll move it.
Cool.
Absolutely. But a cool thing is, you know, it's not just me you have to rely on. Like, I'm the face that you work with.
Yeah.
We have a whole back office of the company that if insurance forgot to pay for something, they go back with photo documentation saying, hey, this is what you missed. Please send more money. And insurance is like, okay, here you go. We don't ask for anything above and beyond. We just ask for what's there because that's what insurance is supposed to do. They're paying for what it was pre-storm loss.
Yeah.
Your pre-loss condition.
Sure.
And so, you know, once that's wrapped up, I'll probably go and magnet another time just to make sure. And the crew's magneting as well as soon as they're done picking up debris and pick up any leftover material and leave a nice, happy, clean home.
Yep. It's cool.
Great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Sounds pretty seamless.
So we, in our back office, takes care of all the insurance paperwork. We take care of everything else.
Yep.
And
so
y'all,
you don't really have to
do
lift
coordinate
finger.
and work with insurance people during this process
all the time.
too.
All the time.
So, because a lot of times the homeowner doesn't want to do all that.
No. I mean, like I
don't want to
said, homeowners, you have a life, you have a family, you have other obligations. This is this is inconvenience, really.
Yeah.
You know, your home is being taken over for a day, possibly 2 days, you know? And so typically what happens is whenever I meet someone and we're getting a claim going, I'm like, hey, who's your agent? Let me give them a call. Let me tell them, hey, we're doing their roof. If you need anything from me, holler at me. If I need anything from you, we'll get with you.
Yeah.
What a touch.
Wow. And then,
Nice.
we'll reach out to adjusters and just take care of everything for you.
Man.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Keep it easy.
That's fantastic.
Keep it easy.
Okay. Well, wrapping up, just a more personal question. Around town, is there anything that you think people should know about around town? Not roofing, not construction, restaurants, places to play, to places you can take your kids. Any insider information for somebody?
I tell you what, in Mansfield, there's a play park at the Field House off 287.
You're a fan of that?
Broad.
Yeah, I know.
That is a great place run by a guy named Doug. He does a phenomenal job.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun to take your kids. They're just, I think Crossroads has a huge live nativity scene. We went there last weekend. It was amazing.
It's epic.
It was crazy huge. I've not seen a nativity play like it's incredible.
Yeah, it looks like a circus as you're driving by.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. So those are some of the big things that come to mind right now, you know.
It's cool.
But that's what I would do.
Very cool.
It's good. All right. Well, I think we've covered most of these last questions I've got. How can our listeners get in touch with you? How can they engage with you for roofing or construction or any of that kind of stuff? Yeah,
so you can look us up at qualisgc.com. You can call me directly. Do I give my phone number?
Whatever you want to do.
682-552-7052. You can Facebook us. We're big on social media. You can find us on there. Ask for Travis or the Vanilla Gorilla. And you forgot about that one, didn't you? Yeah, you did.
Man.
Or we're right over
that's
by...
That's going to be the title of this video.
The Vanilla Gorilla.
Yeah, Kristen Berry's versus the Vanilla Gorilla. We'll leg wrestle later. But no, we're right off of 303 in Green Oaks by Oak Ridge in the Police Training Center. And so if you ever need anything, holler back at us. We have great reviews on Google as well. We just want to make sure we do things the right way and leave a good impression everywhere we go.
Cool, man. Well, we should appreciate you being here.
We do.
It's my
do.
pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Yes, appreciate you taking care of all of our people.
Yes, big time. Cool. All right, y'all. Well, that's all we got for today. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll catch you back next week.
See you soon.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the podcast today. If this has been valuable for you at all, we sure could use your help getting the word out to more people. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and give us a follow and consider taking just maybe 2 minutes to leave us a review. Both do wonders for our show with the algorithm, and on both platforms, all you gotta do, head over to our show page. On Spotify, hit 3 dots and select rate. And on Apple, all you gotta do is just scroll down to the show and say leave a review. So just click that. If you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram, a like or comment puts all the good vibes out in the algorithm for us. And on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new episode. Join us again next week for more Fort Worth housing news and updates. Until then, y'all have a great week.